Hey, how's it going, guys? Trade AD here, and this is going to be a different video because it's not specifically about trading, but it is about the peripheral that I use, something I hold dear to my hand, and it's my mouse. If you see my trading video or my trading setup video, then you'll know that my favorite mouse is the Corsair M65. This is the Pro, so this is basically, I believe, the second generation. I love this mouse, by the way. And just to preface, this is going to be a comparison between some mice that I think is really good for trading. And these are premium mice. Obviously, you can get away with any mouse you want, but if you know from my trading video that I believe in redundancy and quality, because the last thing you want is to have or be in a trade and have something go haywire. I don't want to be the guy that says I lost hundreds of thousands or $1,000 because my mouse stopped working. I will always have a second mouse. So while I was using my Corsair M65, I've always had a backup mouse. And in this case, it was a generic mouse that came with my computer, my new computer, which was a Skytech. So now that this scroll has stopped working, I've picked up a few. I looked around and I picked up a few mouse, and I've noticed that in the previous 2 years, in the gaming community, that people are debating over heavy mice and lightweight mice. I mean, they're going really light, like 50, 60 grams, while I, on the other hand, with the M65, was actually really enjoying my heavy mouse. Now, put into perspective, as a trader, we're not turning someone around. We're not hitting a moving target. So more or less, what we're looking for is a very steady, solid mouse that can anchor down, because what we're sniping at is basically the buy, short, cover, or sell button, which is static. So there's quite a difference between those two purposes. But the main similarity is the fact that we take it seriously. In fact, maybe traders will take it a little bit more seriously than some gamers. But I know I'm not going to downplay gamers, because pro gaming is a thing now, and you know that the mouse is something that I'm sure they hold dear to their hand as well. So for me, if I were to take a world view of the types of mice right now, the heavies and the lights, I would say for trading, I would want a higher DPI setting. For my setup, because I have 3 monitors, so I have to be able to sweep from one monitor to the other, 3 monitors distance of 26 inches each, and that requires a higher setting. Now with that higher setting, I would need to be able to execute or get to those rectangular buttons, static buttons that I was just recently talking about, the buy and sell and short and cover. So I have to be able to anchor down on there, and while I have it anchored down on the execution of the entry of the stock, I also wouldn't mind having a sniper button to lower my DPI extremely low. So if there's anybody that bumps me, my dog or cat, or just having the jitters, I would be able to know that it's statically there, because while I'm trading, I'm watching the price action, the level 2 or the chart. So I'm not exactly looking at what I'm executing. So anchoring it down helps, and having a weighted mouse actually makes me feel more comfortable. So other than that, we just want something that's solid feeling, something that feels good in our hands, the shape. So I'm looking for something simple, because I don't need any programmable buttons, or I want it to be able to, if there is programmable buttons, I want to be able to eliminate them or just not have them around, because I won't need it. I just need my left, right buttons, finger buttons, and probably a DPI setting button, maybe, and a scroll. And I prefer a sniper button if possible. But other than that, that's about it. Now with the Corsair M65, what I love about this mouse, other than its weight, is the fact that it has RGB lighting. Now with that, other than it looking cool, is the mere fact that I know it's working. If it's on, then it's working. So if it stops working, I know that there's something wrong with something else, most likely, not the mouse itself, because the lighting is working. And the software is excellent. There's a few things that I really enjoy about this mouse, and one of it is angle snapping. With angle snapping, I'm able to create a straight line horizontally. Whereas if you have if you're trying to draw a line that allows you to go off by 1 degree, and you would understand how frustrating it is to just create a horizontal line if you're off by 1 degree. With angle snapping, it's going to try its best to create that horizontal line that you're looking for, or vertical line. Now, Corsair also has a setting that I find very cool with the RGB lighting, is to set the colors according to your system's temperature. So now it's not just for looks, or it's not doing something fun. It's actually doing something that's actually functional, that actually is beneficial to you as in the working field. So with this one, you can tell I have a lot of things running right now. So if it turns red, if I have this Corsair turn red, that's basically going to tell me that the temperature is exceeding a certain degree. Now you can control the temperature setting that you want, and that is something really cool that I find that I haven't found in any other mouse. The only con that I can find for most of us is going to be the fact that the side has this sandpaper plastic texture, which felt great for the first year. But within that first year, you can tell that it's turned shiny. The texture's gone based on my hand rubbing on it. So that actually is something that is a little discouraging. But considering that I have carpenter hands, they're literally the driest hands ever. A shiny mouse actually helps with that kind of texture. The only time these hands don't help is whenever I'm on a matted texture, like a hard matted plastic. So I actually prefer a glossy mouse, and I do like this mouse being black and white. It's kind of cool. And the sniper button is perfectly placed on my large hands, right in the right place. And yeah, other than that, the other con would be the factor that I found out that the side of my ring finger actually gets irritated as I trade for hours. And if I were to reset it, I would have to tilt it to reset on the mouse pad. And by doing that, I actually created a callus on my hand. If you can tell, it's actually red here. It's redder than everywhere else because this is the area that gets rubbed every time I pivot. So that was one of the only concerns, and possibly something I would look to alleviate on my newer mouse. So after that, I figured I don't want to change anything, so let's look at the new Corsair mouse. And they do have an M65 Elite, and here it is right here, in white and gray. They don't have white and black, but they have white and gray, so that was really cool to see. Now, I was kind of discouraged because this mouse was actually 20 grams lighter than my old mouse. Even though it has the cool metal, this one is also metal. I didn't realize it because it was anodized, but this is bare metal, and I guess somewhere they've alleviated the weight, and now it's 20 grams lighter, which is fine. But another area that I didn't like was they didn't change the texture. So I know this is going to wear out pretty quickly. And also, to my demise, they moved the sniper button forward. Now I'm not entirely sure why, but maybe because some people were accidentally touching the sniper button on the original one too many times on an accident, but I would have to change my grip just so I can reach this sniper button. And of course, I'm still going to get the wear and tear on my ring finger corner just from resetting. So now that the Corsair M65 has somewhat disappointed me, I decided to look elsewhere, and the most popular weighted mouse at this moment is Logitech G502, this mouse right here. Now I got the SE, the special edition black and white, because I like the aesthetics. This one actually comes out to be a pretty hefty mouse, and of course it's wired because I don't want to worry about an additional reason for a mouse to go wrong. So I have nothing wrong with wireless mice, but having it wireless adds a +1 to a possibility of failure. So I'm just going to stick with the wired ones for now. So here's this one, and the one thing I noticed was this is much narrower in the hip, and the back is more round and is tall. So in comparison to the Corsair M65, it's relatively the taller, but it's narrower. And it being narrower actually feels good in my larger hands because I'm able to pivot it easier. And the one thing Logitech has is that is this cant. And with the cant, they actually rounded this area right here. This area is rounded. So for some reason, my ring finger doesn't get irritated as much because it's easier to lift even though it's a heavier mouse. And the con would be the fact that the sniper button is also way too far ahead. I can't use it. But I did notice that this area right here, this thumb guard, is actually really beneficial for anchoring down. As I just press down with my thumb, it's going to add additional anchoring onto the mouse pad. But the one thing that makes this thing so awesome is the hyper scroll. This thing scrolls. There's the hyper scroll. This thing will scroll endlessly. And there are some applications to where the hyper scroll is going to help me move the graph around and look at my scanners a lot faster than something that has detents or ratchets. So there is a way to press this button down right here, in which it'll create this action. But knowing that I'm able to just flick this and go from the very top to the very bottom of hundreds of trade ideas tickers is just game changing to me. So with that, I decided to look elsewhere. What other Logitech mouse has this hyper scroll? And it would be the workhorse of all Logitechs, the Master MX3. And this is the wireless. They don't have this in wired, so I needed to try this out because I noticed they had this metal scroll, which looks premium, and it is premium. But the one issue with this is it's all rubber. I don't like that feel, and it doesn't have a sniper button. They have this special button down here called a workflow button that you can use to it's literally a workhorse. This thing has so many features hidden within it that I just really don't need. But it's a really good, I mean, all of these are really good mice, but this one has something really special to where you can actually move this mouse from one monitor off one computer and just have it go off that computer monitor and go to another computer without having to switch over anything. It can actually be connected to two monitors on two different computers, and that's just mind-blowing. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't need it, but it's just cool to have. And the hyper scroll is really neat. But the issue was I was trying to change this workflow button into a sniper button, but all I could really do was just use it as a DPI changing button, which means I had to press it twice to bring it back to the original DPI setting. So that was unfortunate. And it's wireless. Nothing wrong with that. It says it can run wireless for 700 hours or something. But as you can tell, all I have is this tiny green light here to tell me if it's working or not. And more or less, if I have something like this, I would charge it every day anyways. And I know it's not going to wear out the batteries because, you know, lithium ions always have this safety net of charging. But the issue is, as I continually charge it every day, I don't know when that battery is going to wear out until one day it just stops working midways during trading, and that is the day that could hurt a lot. So I don't really care for that kind of predicament, honestly. So far between these four, the Logitech 502 is winning, and yet I still feel like maybe there's a way to prevent my finger from getting rubbed out. So I found I noticed there was a Lamborghini, or the transformer of all mice is the Catz Rat 8 Plus. This thing is beautiful. If this thing ever breaks down on me, it's going to be worthy to just put somewhere on my shelf as a paperweight. This thing's awesome. So obviously you can tell that this thing is modular in a lot of ways. You can change out everything. I can make it wider if I wanted to, and I had this thing pivot moved backwards so my thumb can hit the sniper button very easily. This thing does have angle snapping. The one thing that I bought this for was the ability to protect my ring finger from wear and tear. So if I put this right here, then I can have it rest on here. But what I didn't realize was when I have it on there, I can't pivot as well because there's an additional piece of plastic, hard plastic on the right-hand side, that when I try to pivot it, it actually gets in the way. And that was a hindrance that I didn't actually foresee. But there's two reasons why I don't like this one, or maybe three. One of it is obvious. This company went bankrupt a few years ago, and they came back with new sensors, quality sensors, and quality switches. But we really don't know the quality or the longevity of this kind of mouse just yet. I can tell you right now from the way I see it is it's going to last a while. But the other reason is, as I mentioned, was the ergonomics. Even if I put the ring finger guard here, it's going to be hard to pivot. And the way it's built really flat. So I'm a claw gripper, so that shouldn't matter, right? But I have a hard time gripping this side right here because there's no real estate. It's just a really short area here. So if I grab this wide mouse, you could tell that my thumb actually still wants to lift up. There's not much to grab here. In comparison to my original mouse, there's quite a height difference here. And you can tell that one's flat and one's canted. Now the canted area, this seems to be canted in the wrong way. It should be canted this way, but it looks like it's more canted this way, so it doesn't quite feel like it's sitting in my hand correctly. That's just nitpicking, obviously. If I use it for a week, which I have, it does start feeling more normal. But as I keep switching over to the Logitech, this wider body and shorter, the wider and shorter body. It literally looks like a Lamborghini here, and this looks like a Camry. The Camry is more comfortable to get to grip, obviously. So yeah, there's that. But the biggest caveat is because it's low, everything's lower. This mouse scroll is so recessed in. There's not much movement. I can only move it maybe 20 degrees at a time. Whereas you already know this scroll is protruding so much, and obviously it has the hyper scroll. So I mean, between the two, scrolling wise, the Logitech wins. So I would have to say in the end, the Logitech 502 is going to be the most comfortable for me. You can't go wrong with any of these. These are all pretty awesome mice. I would always suggest everybody to have more than one mouse, just in case one fails. But yeah, that's my review over these 4 mice that I think are great for trading, for large dry hands that has more than a one monitor setup. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with those lightweight gamer mouse, except if you have tryptophobia like me. I can't stand the look of those new lightweight mice. So if anything, maybe someday, but I'm always going to be a wrist mover, high DPI, with weights to anchor down. So I hope this review helps some of you guys make a decision on your future mouse, and I'll check you guys later with some real trading. All right, take care, guys. Bye.